Just for full clarification, the designer of this game got in touch with me and asked if I could review one of his games, and I picked up on a Flying Cobra Special Edition. I don't have any restrictions regarding my normal review overview style. I am not going to pull any punches because someone's been nice enough to ask me to do it, and I don't think it benefits neither him nor anyone else if I start holding back because I feel sorry. So just so we're on the same page. Hello and welcome to a look at Flying Cobra Special Edition, a shoot 'em up made for the Commodore 64 using the shoot 'em up construction kit. And before anyone who knows of that tool starts groaning, I will say upfront this game is actually not half bad. Anyone not in the know, shoot 'em up construction kit was a tool that was released many years ago, in which you could design your own shoot 'em ups. It had certain limitations, and those limitations were quite strict. I don't know whether I can't confirm that it is the case, but it definitely feels like this game has some sort of backup code to support the output from shoot 'em up construction kit, because it runs a lot smoother than anything I remember seeing from back then. It is a free game to download and will run perfectly fine on emulation and original hardware. I will put a link in the description of this video, and the fact that this video is uploaded at all means that the link is safe. I am very skeptical and very suspicious of links and any noise of any kind, and I would have not featured this game at all. Any good game needs a plot, and the plot in this game, of course, is that bad guys being bad, everyone else failed, and you are the only one left. You and 6 others. Actually, I think you are supposed to be in charge of a group of pilots, so you're not the only one left. That's it. Well, details. Plot, who cares about plot? You're out to shoot things, you're not worrying about plot. Because of the inherent difficulties of easily making a power-up system in a shoot 'em up construction kit, the designer of this game has equipped you by default with quite a lot of firepower. Besides your front cannons, you have, if you move up in the joystick while shooting, a whack of missiles you will fire off, and if you move sideways you will fire side shots, and if you move backwards you will fire rear shots, and they are firing backwards because if they were firing front it probably wouldn't be very useful. There also seems to be some diagonal shots that could just be me, but appear to be semi-homing. But regardless, you do have an awful lot of firepower, but you never at any point feel like you got too much firepower. I would say it's adequate. It is nice to have the available directional shots when you need them, because yes, this is a shoot 'em up construction kit game, but there's an awful lot of thought gone into it. The graphics themselves, they are decent. Nothing spectacular, but definitely not bad. I've seen worse, and I've paid good money for worse. So I'm not going to be overly critical towards the graphical side. I actually quite like a lot of small details. The gameplay is very, very smooth, surprisingly for a shoot 'em up construction kit game. And the design of waves and pacing seems to be very, very, sorry, very well thought out, I think it's called. It's definitely someone who plays games. It's been setting this one up because it doesn't feel cheesy. It doesn't feel like it's just overwhelming you with a billion shots because it's got nothing better to do. Obviously, being aware of where the enemies come from helps, but as soon as you are aware of where the enemies are spawning from, or which direction they come from, then you are perfectly able to handle most situations. There's preciously few off-screen firing enemies, which is actually very, very nice because, of course, in shooters, there's nothing better than being shot from a direction you have no clue the shot is coming from. The variety of enemies is actually quite impressive, all things considered, and they all behave in their own unique way. They have a good balance of firepower, which, if you allow them to combine their firepower against you, can give you some unpleasant headaches. But one mechanic that I actually find quite enjoyable is the concept of flak shots. A flak is all about guessing the height of the plane you're trying to hit, and then fire your shot, and when it reaches the predetermined height, the shell will explode, trying to knock out the target. And because some of the enemies, both flying and ground units, use a flak shots, you can actually safely ignore a certain portion of the shots because they will never reach you. Of course, if you are ever forced into a situation where you have to move to the opposite side of the screen, then you can be in a bit of bother. But as long as you learn where the waves come from, the game feels perfectly well balanced. You get extra lives every 10,000 points, which is certain enemies will give virtually no points, and other enemies will almost give too many. But overall, the balance seems fine. And nothing better than being reduced to 1 life and then live long enough to try to earn 3 extra lives. The graphics and sound, definitely not bad. Because it is a shoot 'em up construction kit game, you don't have natural breaks in levels, which the game does feature a pause function, but I have to admit, with the amount of firepower required, it would be nice having just that 10-15 second break from time to time. But yeah, well, if it's that daunting, then the game has a pause function. So I'll be completely honest and say that I did not expect, when I saw design using shoot 'em up construction kit, I was just thinking, oh dear, what am I in for? And based on what I've played, I've actually decided that I want to beat this game. It didn't quite do it in this playthrough. My target was 100,000 points, and I'm going to be very, very close to reaching that. I have no idea how far I'm into the game, and that's perfectly fine. I don't mind getting positively surprised, or negatively surprised, if that's the case. If there's anything I would like to be slightly different in this game, it's definitely the ground units, dash explosions. It seems to be lingering, but just perhaps half a second to a second too long. But I mean, that's personal opinion. It's not a critique against the game, because considering it's a free game to download and you can play it on original hardware or emulator, it's hard to be overly critical of it. It doesn't help that it's not bad. For what it is a perfectly enjoyable game. And I played one game, and I played one more, and then I played a handful, and then I played a few handfuls in order to come up with a half-decent video for this. And I enjoyed it. It is nice sometimes to just switch off and say, okay, now I'm just going to blow some stuff up, and then be allowed to do it. Much more impressive, though, is the fact that we are talking a system that was abandoned by the company responsible for it some 30 years ago, and the community are still making games for them, for the system. Some of them semi-commercial, some of them free, but the fact that they are still making anything for that system is something to be applauded. And on that note, I'm going to say thanks for watching, take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye for now.